The Galactic Council's chamber hummed with the low harmonics of dozens of alien species, their voices weaving together in what the Zephyrians called consensus song. Ambassador Kethvar of the Dominion straightened his crystalline carapace, the light refracting through his translucent form as he addressed the assembly. "The humans," he began, his voice carrying the metallic undertone of his kind, "remain a curiosity. 3 solar cycles since first contact, and they still cling to their primitive single-world existence." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Vorthon delegate, a writhing mass of tentacles housed in an environmental suit, spoke next. "Our intelligence suggests they possess no faster-than-light capabilities, no gravitational manipulation technology. Their largest vessels barely exceed 2 kilometers in length." Chancellor Morden, the ancient seraphim who had presided over the council for 2 millennia, flexed his 4 arms dismissively. "And yet they demand representation in our assembly. They speak of rights and sovereignty as if they were equals to species who have sailed the void for 10,000 years. The laughter that followed was not cruel, but it carried the casual dismissal of adults watching a child attempt to join their conversation. These beings had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, had tamed black holes, and harvested the energy of dying stars. What could a species confined to a single yellow star system possibly offer? "Perhaps," suggested Kethvar, "it is time to formally reject their petition for council membership, clearly and finally. Let them understand their place in the cosmic order." The motion carried without dissent. After all, what harm could possibly come from disappointing such a limited species? 3 days later, the first anomalies appeared on the Council's deep space monitoring networks. Chief Scanner Yilandra, a 6-eyed Ophidian whose species had perfected sensor technology millennia ago, stared at her displays with growing confusion. "Chancellor, we're detecting gravitational distortions at the edge of 12 different star systems. The signatures are unprecedented." Morden's golden skin rippled with annoyance. "Explain." "The distortions appear to be artificial, but the energy requirements would be enormous. Whatever is generating them would need to manipulate space-time on a scale we've never observed. Even the Zephyrian armadas at their height couldn't—" Her explanation was interrupted by proximity alarms. Every species in the chamber turned, their various sensory organs toward the massive viewing wall as it flickered to life, displaying the space surrounding their mobile council station. The darkness of space was no longer empty. Ships emerged from what appeared to be tiers in reality itself, not the elegant quantum tunnels the advanced species used for travel, but violent rips that scarred the fabric of space-time. These vessels were angular, brutal things, their hulls scarred with the unmistakable marks of kinetic impacts and energy weapon strikes. They bore the scars of countless battles, yet flew in perfect formation. "By the Ancient Ones," whispered the Vorthon delegate, his tentacles recoiling into his suit. "How many are there?" Yilandra's voice had dropped to barely a whisper. "Initial count shows 300 vessels. No, 600. The signatures keep multiplying, they're still emerging." The ships were massive, some stretching 50 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfing anything the Council had seen outside of ancient predecessor ruins. Their designs were purely functional, eschewing the elegant curves favored by most civilized species for sharp angles and exposed weapon systems. They looked less like ships and more like mobile fortresses, bristling with technology that hurt to look at directly. Chancellor Morden activated the communication array, his 4 hands working the controls with practiced precision. "Unknown vessels, you have entered restricted space without authorization. Identify yourselves immediately." The response came, not through subspace channels or quantum entanglement, but as a simple radio transmission, a primitive method that hadn't been used by advanced civilizations for thousands of years. The voice that emerged from the speakers was calm, measured, and unmistakably human. "This is Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy's 1st Expeditionary Fleet. We've come to deliver humanity's response to your recent decision regarding our council membership petition." The chamber fell silent. Even the ever-present harmonics of the Zephyrians ceased. Kethvar's crystalline form flickered as he processed this impossibility. "Human, your species lacks the technology for interstellar travel. Our intelligence reports. Your intelligence reports were based on what we allowed you to see, Admiral Chen interrupted. Did you really think a species that survived 2 world wars, conquered atomic energy, and reached its moon within a century of powered flight would remain content on a single world? On the viewing screen, more ships continued to emerge. The Ladiat formations were spreading out now, surrounding the council station in a perfect sphere. Each vessel maintained exact spacing, their movements coordinated with military precision that spoke of decades of experience. Impossible, breathed Ambassador Kethvar. The energy requirements alone. We learned to split the atom before we learned to fly, came the reply. We harnessed fusion before we left our solar system. While you mastered elegant technologies, we mastered the fundamental forces themselves. Every one of our ships carries reactors that burn as hot as stellar cores. Our weapons channel the same forces that power suns. Yolandra's sensors were going wild. Chancellor, I'm reading energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. These ships are powered by contained stellar fusion, but the output is off the scales. And their weapons. She paused, her 6 eyes widening in horror. Their weapons are relativistic mass drivers, planet killers. Each ship carries enough firepower to sterilize worlds. Admiral Chen's voice continued, unhurried and professional. For 3 years, we knocked politely at your door. We followed your protocols, respected your procedures, played by your rules. We asked for nothing more than the right to speak, to be heard, to join the community of galactic civilization. The massive ships began to move, not toward the station, but into a complex pattern that spoke of tactical doctrine refined through countless battles. You mocked our weakness. You dismissed us as primitives. You decided we were unworthy of even basic consideration. A pause. You were wrong. Chancellor Mordun found his voice, though it emerged as barely more than a croak. What do you want? The same thing we wanted 3 days ago. A seat at the table, recognition that humanity has a right to exist among the stars. The only difference now is that we're not asking anymore. The human fleet held position, thousands of weapon systems trained on the council station, but not yet firing. The message was clear. This was still a negotiation, but the terms had fundamentally changed. You see, Admiral Chen continued, you made one critical error in your assessment of humanity. You mistook our restraint for weakness. You assumed that because we hadn't revealed our capabilities, we didn't possess them. You forgot that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that chooses not to show its teeth. The silence stretched for long moments before the Admiral spoke again. The question now, honored council members, is simple. Are we going to discuss humanity's membership, or do we need to demonstrate why such discussions are no longer optional? In the depths of space, surrounded by the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen, the Galactic Council learned a lesson that humanity had known for millennia. It's not the size of the dog in the fight that matters, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And humanity, it seemed, had quite a lot of fight indeed.